MCAS Math Grade 10, Spring 2012. Question 8. What is the solution of the system of equations below? So here we have two sets of equations, 3x plus 2y equals to 5 and 2x plus y equals to 2. So we have, if you look at the first equation, we have two unknowns, x and y. They're called variables, and the same variable is also appearing in the second equation. Because we have two unknowns, to solve this problem we need two equations. So it's called system of equations, right? So we have to, every time we find a solution for one of these equations, it also has to satisfy the other equation, right? So to solve this problem, actually you can do it different ways, right? It's the one way is by substitution, the other way is by elimination, or you can just substitute these numbers into these equations and see if you get the right answer. So I'm just going to do two different ways. The first one, I'm going to just substitute these numbers into these equations. So remember, it has to satisfy both of the equations, right? Otherwise the system is, if it only applies to the first equation and not the second equation, so you don't get the equality on both sides, it is not the solution to this system. So let's look at the first choice. We have x is equals to 2 and y is equals to negative 2. Now if you apply x equals to 2 to the first equation, we have 3 times x, so 3 times 2 is 6. Right? And y is equals to negative 2. Negative 2 multiplied by 2, you get negative 4, right? So 3 times 2 is 6 minus 4. So plus, so 6 minus 4 is 2, right? So the 2 does not satisfy the first equation, so we don't have to bother with plugging these numbers into the second one because the first one is not satisfied. We should have got 6 minus 4, whatever we got on this side should have been a 5, right? So the A is not a solution. We're going to do number B. X is negative 2, y is equals to 6. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And y is equals to 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So I'm going to write that here. Plus 12. So negative 6 plus 12 is 6. 6 does not satisfy the first equation either because we have a 5 here. Let's try number C. X is equal to 1 and y is equals to 1. So x is equal to 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 times 1 is 2. So we have so the 5 we have on this side is the same number we have over here. So it does satisfy the first equation. How about the second equation? X equals to 1, y equals to 1. 2 times 1 is a 2, right? Plus y equals to 1 plus 1. So 2 times 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. And 3 is not equal to 2. So number C satisfies the first equation but does not satisfy the second equation. So it's not an answer. Now we are only left with choice D, which by default should be an answer, but let's just plug it in and see if that will give us the right answer. Negative 1 times 3 gives you a negative 3, right? Plus 4 times 2 is an 8. So you have negative 3 plus 8, you get a 5, right? So it does satisfy the first equation. And then for the second equation, we have 2 times negative 1, so it's negative 2, plus y, which is a 4. So we have negative 2 plus 4, and that's a 2. So 2 is equals to 2, right? So we have negative 2 plus 4, we get a 2, right? So 2 on this side will be equal to 2 on this side. So number D is the answer. It satisfies both of these equations in the system. Now the other method to actually do it is also trying to eliminate one of these variables. If you look at the coefficients of these variables, we will see that if we multiply the second equation by a negative 2, we will have a positive 2y in the first equation and negative 2y in the second equation. And if we add both equations together, we will be able to eliminate y. So I'm going to try that down here. Let's just write down 3x plus 2y is equal to 5, right? And then we have 2x plus y is equal to 2, right? So I'm going to multiply everything in the second equation by a negative 2, right? That will give me a system of the first one stays the same, plus 2y is equal to 5. And the second one, negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 multiplied by positive y, well, I'll get a negative 2y. So I'll have a negative 2y. And don't forget the last constant, negative 2 multiplied by 2 is negative 4. So now I will add these numbers together. Each column gets added together. And I'll have 3x minus 4x is just minus x, right? It's like 3 minus 4 is negative 1, and I'll just leave the x in there. So I'll have minus x. 2y minus 2y is 0. So I'm just not going to write anything down. So because our purpose was to eliminate the y variable, which we did. 5 minus 4 is 1, right? Is 1. So I multiply everything by negative 1 to get a to get rid of the minus 1 in front of my x. So I'll have x is equal to negative 1. This is consistent with our number D, right? X is negative 1. Now I have x value, which is negative 1, and I still have to find my y value. So I'm just going to use the negative 1 that I found, plug it into this equation to find the value of y, right? So let me just do that here. So I'm using the second equation, 2x, which x here is negative 1, plus y is equal to 2. So I'm using the second equation here. 2 times negative 1 plus y is equals to 2 to find the value of y, right? So 2 times minus 1 is minus 2 plus y is equals to 2. So if I add a positive 2 to both sides of this equation, right, to get rid of the negative 2 here, so minus 2 plus 2 gives me a 0 on this side. The y stays the same, and I have to add the same number to this side, so 2 plus 2. So I'll have minus 2 plus 2 plus y is equals to 2 plus 2, right? So we have to do the same thing on both sides of the equation. Negative 2 and 2 eliminate, becomes 0. I'll have y is equals to 4. So my solution is y equals to 4 and x is negative 1. And it's consistent with what we got here in number D.